Good morning to everybody in Dallas, either in person or joining us online. Jim, you just were being remembered for your visit to Dallas. How long ago was it, and what do you remember from your visit?
Um, the heat. Um, I think just the love and the friendship and the friendliness and the kindness, actually. I think the kindness of everybody. I think that makes a big impact. You know, that sometimes you forget what people say and you don't remember the words of wisdom, but what makes an impact is people's attitude and you remember people's kindness. And I remember the kindness and the love and the attitude of just of spirituality really made a big impact on me actually.
I mean, it's very tangible, the family love feeling that you have in the Dallas center there. Every month I tune in, and you can definitely feel it. And Sister Ranjan there mentioned you being quite entertaining, and I was going to ask you what you feel your secret is that you've kept going on this path for 45 years, which is a very long time. How have you kept going? And is a sense of humor something that you would maybe say has kept you going?
I think that is about having good karma. um that's a very I think it's a good question but a very difficult one to answer actually, Philippa. I think really my faith in God, I think, and also the love and power and support of the spiritual family. You know that I think I think it wasn't for Daddy Yankee, you know, that nothing would have happened. We all know how powerful Daddy Yankee is as a yogi, as a teacher, but I think she held everybody together through her power and her good wishes and her strength and tremendous love that she had.
Mm. I remember when I first came along in 1982, and we had our spiritual teachings in the meditation hall, just a couple of hundred of us. And just about every discourse that we had, the one who was speaking would remember you in person by name. He would refer to you as Joker Jim. And you were loved so much, not just by the one who was speaking, but by the whole spiritual family. And you were almost famous for being this one who could bring a lightness to the atmosphere. What did it feel like to be remembered like that? Was that a deep honor? Was that something you have subsequently reflected on and thought, wow, that was really quite something?
um, to be honest, um, no. I just felt part of the family. It was just part of a natural. My behavior was like spontaneous, and I felt that this is what I can do and should do. And often it wasn't often understood, and sometimes but I went ahead with it, and I just was myself. I think just being yourself. I think what I've learned through my journey is just being yourself and just playing your own part and having faith in your part and having faith in what you do and just seeing the and also monitoring, of course, whatever you're doing and seeing if it's causing sorrow or benefit or whatever, and then carrying on in that particular way. I think that's really it was just something I felt I could do. I just felt very at home within the Brahman world. I just felt this was my family. And so this
Mm.
was a spontaneous thing. It wasn't sort of geared towards any profound and kind of positioning of me as a sort of spiritual teacher, but it was just being part of everybody, having fun, and talking about things in a natural and an easy and more in an adaptable way.
Was it ever a pressure that people expected you to be funny?
Not really. No, I didn't feel it a pressure. I think it was just fun. I think because people enjoyed being themselves and just being natural and laughing, then it breaks down any kind of pressure that sometimes can build up. If you're performing, people have an expectation that you're going to get the performance right, isn't it? That you have a people have an expectation that you're going to perform in a certain way, and then you have that for yourself. But when you're in it, when you're actually just natural, and when you're just behaving in a way that you know that people are also responding in the same way, then no one's expecting, no one's demanding, and everyone's joining in that the flow of things, and it becomes enjoyable.
Mm. I think definitely I would agree that one of your specialities has always been that you've very much been yourself, which in an organization that has, quite a few paths that people go down and expectations that people have of you, I think is quite an achievement. And I wonder, and we will get onto your topic in a minute, but I just a quick question, wonder whether um, that has been challenging as a brother in an organization that has been led by women. And have there ever been times when that felt overwhelming and you felt you couldn't do this anymore?
Uh, no, I would say n not at all, actually. I never felt that I was a brother in a sister's world, or that, and I never felt they saw me as a brother. They may have seen me as a brother, but I never felt that. And I just felt this is my family. Like if you were in a normal family, you don't see yourself as someone separate, but you feel part of the integrated group. And I never felt that, even though maybe people may have seen me with their vision, but I never allowed that vision to impinge on me. Not in any kind of, I didn't work at it, but it was just I felt naturally at ease. Um, in later years, I moved to different places, and there was a feeling of, because of the structure of the situation, that sisters, brothers, and you had to conform to a norm, and they expected you to behave in a certain way. And I kind of, for a while I complied because that was the expected, that you comply. But then I just became myself, which was the way, maybe speaking and sharing what I felt from my heart, and not really not bothering about any of the protocols that were set up in that way. Not sort of thinking, oh, I better not say this because I'm a brother, but I just worked with myself and just allowed myself to express itself and be naturally in that particular way, even though there was, I felt, a kind of disapproval that was in the air. But I felt that being myself never allowed it to be manifested. And so I was allowed to be myself in that environment. You know what I mean? It's kind
I
of
do.
like being yourself. You create your own field and your own world, and it becomes so strong that others, even though they disapprove of it, feel they can't change it, or they feel they have to leave it alone in some way.
It's
If
important to
that's
kind of
clear. And
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And just to carve out your own little place within the family and your speciality and use that in service, which is what you have done for all these decades. And of course this topic that you've chosen is very intriguing. Is it a quote from someone, or how did you come by it?
yeah, it was a quote from a very wise and very deep person called Jim.
Is that
No,
right? You're
no, it was something that I was thinking about, so I just,
You just put it down. Okay, well, you are
yeah,
a philosopher, a deep philosopher and a deep thinker.
I
So,
do, yes,
yeah, you've borrowed some of your own inspirations. Um, I'd like to kind of go sort of break it down
sure,
section at a
yeah,
time because there's quite a lot in that title.
yeah.
And you begin with "There is none to blame." And I've been reflecting on how we do live in a culture of blame. We feel better about ourselves when we can blame someone else for things that are happening to us or around us. And we're very slow sometimes to take responsibility ourselves. what do you see as this sort of humanity's habit to always find blame and look for the person to blame? Where did that come from, and how prevalent do you feel that is now?
Yeah. I agree. The whole drama is a blame game, isn't it?
Hmm.
And I think it kind of started when we lost consciousness, when we lost awareness of who we were and who we are. And um, originally, of course, things were fine. You know, the drama was in a sense of in a state of order. The actors and the players played themselves. But gradually, through time, the actors, the souls, lost awareness of who they were, and gradually they then lost their consciousness of who their role and their interaction with others. And gradually, through also allied to the prevalence of influence, the influence of other souls, the loss of energy in the cycle, I think there's a lot of factors that contribute to the loss of consciousness and the loss of kind of self-awareness. And gradually, the actor, the soul, becomes unaware of his own part, and then becomes confused, and then he notices the scenes and scenarios, and then starts to question the things that are happening, and then he starts to blame others, blame his part, blame, why is this happening? This should happen, this shouldn't happen. And so, therefore, as a result of that, um, we move into a state where we move into confusion. And so, the whole aspect of the play, from that moment when the actor loses consciousness, we start to blame everything around us as a causative factor to that loss of consciousness.
So you're talking here about the cycle of time and how we move from a state of being in a pure consciousness, elevated consciousness, and then as time goes on, we lose power and energy and things start to go wrong. And of course, that's a new experience for us, and we look to find the cause. And what you're saying is the cause is very much that we come into a more gross body consciousness, and that was when the rot began to set in and things began to go wrong. So really, in a way, you're saying is, it's the drama, it's the play that we're all in that determines that this happens, and it isn't anyone's fault. We haven't done anything wrong. It's just how the play unfolds, and we need to
Yeah.
just accept that.
It's not the play that is actually wrong. The part is right, but the actor confuses himself with his part, and he confuses his identity, and he confuses the roles of others with their parts, and he starts to question, why is it happening? And this rejection of this scenario is also triggered by memories of his original consciousness, which is deep within his subconscious, which is pulling and triggering memories of that original time. So, allied to the confusion that he's seeing around him, there is this kind of internal turmoil that's going on, that's kind of working at him, that's wanting to manifest. Yet at the same time, things around him are not aligning with what he thinks things should happen. And so he blames, he sees why he blames others for this. He blames the scenes around him. He blames society. He blames because it's not aligning to his worldview,
Mm.
how he sees things, or he believes things should be happening.
Mm. And I suppose at around that same time begins the search for God and the rituals that we perform in order to get back in favor with God, in order for things to go right again.
Mm.
Because that's what we're searching for is that, the feeling that things happen in a certain way. What about blaming God?
Mm.
For when things go wrong. It's something that humanity, civilizations have done for a long time. Is that ever a fruitful action to blame God?
Yeah, I mean, you're just going back on what you were just saying there, which is connected to your question, that the whole play is about is a search. It's a search for God. It's a search for truth. It's a search for identity, a search for experience. And so the whole play, after the soul loses consciousness, is focused on this search for this particular truth. And so this is formulating the drama. The drama is being formulated by man's search for truth or God. And as energy deteriorates, as it is diluted by other philosophies, by other influences from other souls, and their ideas what truth is, this adds to the confusion about what the soul is looking for. And it tries to identify from all the available data, all the available information as it searches. This adds to the confusion. And so it starts to search in all the different ways that are being promulgated by especially materialism, which says, this is what you need, this is what you want. But because consciousness is not clear or is in turmoil, it tries to make sense of these things through the veil of this polluted consciousness. And so it kind of identifies with all the things that are said. And one of the main kind of things in the confusion that the soul aligns with or picks up with God. It's God. And so first of all, there is God, this kind of divine being, and later on, this becomes personified in different individuals, and later on, it becomes imbued into matter. This is like as consciousness deteriorates, the actor, the confused actor, is aligning with all these particular ideas, trying to make sense, trying to kind of find his way back to this kind of this dream world, this kind of memory that's deep down. It's becoming gradually overwhelmed by all these influences. As it moves through time, consciousness is being suffused and overwhelmed and overlain by wrong attitudes, wrong thinking, wrong philosophies, confusions, and gradually its own inner light becomes dim. Its own inner light becomes almost extinguished. And it tries to, still all the time, still is that kind of dim memory of something greater, something more. And of course, it aligns itself with the ideas coming from others. And others say, oh, this or that. And so we align with that. We search with them and we get further trapped and further confused. And we align with kind of things in recent memory. So we think, we are told is God. And so we align with all the philosophies of the Romans, the Egyptians, all the iconography, which seems mystical, it seems wonderful, it seems, if it aligns with our kind of worldview, and we kind of go with it. And so we lose it, we experience it, we lose it again, and we keep searching, finding, losing, searching, all the time, finding nothing, becoming emptier, becoming lost. And this idea about God, of course, we start to blame God then, because we think God is in all these artifices and all these kind of structures that we've kind of tried or believed or were told which were God. And so we blame God, not knowing who really God is, but we're blaming the philosophy that we've aligned ourselves with because we're not sure who God is. But all the time, I think there's a constancy with the actor is this feeling of something more. There's something, because the light of the soul, as you know, Philippa, isn't it? Now, is never extinguished. But this spiritual memory is always there in the subconscious, always occasionally emerging, being triggered, and it kind of all the time is pushing us forward. It's guiding us. It's the force. So it's in a way, it's the force behind the driver of the drama, this search for God. And of course, we blame who we think is God, because he hasn't come and solved the problem.
Hmm.
Come on, I've done all this, I've donated all this money, I've done all these prayers, and still you're not answering. There's wars, and God, you've let it all happen. And so we blame God in that light. So I put it in that context, you know, of because we've been deceived. We've been we've aligned ourselves with false philosophies, which is part of the drama.
And of
That's the
course,
drama.
each of these philosophers and religious founders, when they first start out, there's a lot of power in what they're offering, and we're attracted to that initial power. But then that power gradually begins to dissipate, and it's not quite as attractive as it was. But that leads us a little bit onto the flip side of the coin of blame, which is praise. And this is another way in which we try and make ourselves feel better, which is to
Yeah,
see the qualities in others, or to remember qualities that have existed in people who have gone before us and put them up on a pedestal and somehow get a reflected glory from them that makes us temporarily feel better about
yeah,
ourselves. And yet you're saying, to do that is also going down the wrong path.
yeah. I think also um, praise is really part of devotion. It's which devotion is about search, and devotion encourages us to praise and this would gain us some kind of kudos. We praise because we feel we're getting something from it. I think all praise is basically narcissistic. It's basically based upon desire because devotion creates desire. When we lose consciousness, we're always searching, we're always wanting, we're always needing, and so it's devotion is part of the structure that we create to try or part of the scaffolding that we're trying to reach the thing we want to reach, although each one is reaching a different part of this world of its world of truth, because all the truths are expressed in different ways. And so we search and look for this particular way. And so praise is essentially selfish because we praise because we want to be accepted. We pray. I believe behind all praise is a desire to be part of a group, part of to be accepted, part of the process of being part of that world which we are praising, because I want to be like them in that particular way. And so when we think of a play, going back to the drama, that you don't praise the play. You don't you praise sorry, you don't praise the actors, but you praise the play. Each one, the play is just what it is. And you appreciate the actors, you appreciate the lines, you appreciate the delivery, you appreciate the kind of the artifices and how things are panning out. But the praise is for the play itself. And of course, we're coming back to praises for the one who then brings about resolution, which is God. So I think I think probably if you're looking at praise, I think praise is for our own self, praising for our own self-awareness, praises for the drama, for the beauty of the drama, and praises for God who brings about change and who enables the drama then to change and return to its original state of harmony and unity.
So, this series is all focused on looking into the topic of purity. How do you see purity fitting into this blame game and this praise game?
Yeah, I think everything is initially pure. The soul in its initial state is pure, and the world of the drama is in a state of harmonic purity. And gradually, because purity can't maintain itself because of the law of entropy, its energy must deteriorate. It must deteriorate because we're activating it, we're using it. And as as we use it, it gradually deteriorates and it's added to by souls entering the play. And this adds to the dilution and the deterioration of energy. And so the purity is a natural state, will naturally degrade as it moves. And it's in a way, purity is a very religious term. It's actually a bhakti term, I feel. It's really a
Devotion.
loss of energy. It's really not a purity, but it's a loss of energy. Purity is a term Bhakti uses to that God will then purify you, cleanse you. It goes back to this cleansing. God doesn't cleanse you. You actually you you cleanse yourself, and the drama rectifies itself in that particular way. So God comes as a kind in a play, like in Shakespeare, it's called Deus ex machina. The one who brings solutions to that which is insoluble. And he brings the answer. He just says, look, this is what it is. This is what you've lost. This is why you're struggling. And he brings memories. Then we realize, that you're an actor. Everyone is playing a part. You're not the part. You're not the body. Each one is playing a role. The drama, the soul world, heaven, God. All the parts are clarified by God. And so the praise is for God who brings clarity, who brings about this kind of resolution of the play, who brings about the end. We use these dramatic terms, Rajay, like destruction, but it's a resolution. It's
Mm,
just a term that things are changed, and so again we can maintain that um, balance and that and again momentum is returned, and we can begin again. The play begins again in that
mhm.
sense. Energy
I
is
like
restored.
I like the way you're setting out very clearly this kind of paradise lost, paradise found. That we begin with the experience of the totality of our human consciousness in its highest form, and then we slowly lose power and lose that consciousness. Then we begin the journey to try and find it back again. And this time that we're living through now is very much a time when the search is rewarded and we do get to the answers. Um, what do you feel is the conclusion of that finding journey? What is it ultimately that we are finding?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in a way that those who have been looking will find what they've been looking for, and those and everybody ultimately is looking for some form of resolution, and for many it is the resolution of peace, the resolution of harmonic experience, which would be answered going back to the spiritual home. This is their resolution. For others, it would be experiencing awareness. Some it would be resolution of finding their truth within their own belief system. That if you were a member of a particular religion or belief system, your aim is to find unity and oneness within your belief system. And I think that if there is this kind of deep sincerity and deep and really truthful approach to you will find it. They will find the answers, and they find their meaningful connection with their own religion. And for others, it may well be to experience a world of harmony within the spiritual world, within the physical world. So everyone will find their resolution in different ways. So God enables everyone to be satisfied. So everyone is satisfied, but not in the same way. There is this kind of blanket thing, isn't it, Philippa? That everyone thinks, well, you're going to go to heaven, but it's a generic term that everyone heaven for everybody has a different feeling, different context, a different is expressed and felt in a different way. So I think that in a way, I feel that the resolution is happening in different ways. For some, it would be an understanding of why things are. So, but some will not want to know any of that. It's not in their capacity, because I think it's to do with capacities of souls. All are souls, but everyone has a different capacity. And that's why the play is different, because the play manifests the capacities of souls. So the souls that have bigger capacities would come in the beginning. And so they have the capacity to travel through time and have different experiences. Souls that have lesser capacity join later because they have the capacity to travel and experience on a shorter period within the drama. And their experiences are related to that particular time. And so their experiences will be related to that. And what they want is that. Those that come at the end of the play will only want the things at the end of the play to give them the experiences that they want, which they will
And
experience.
yeah, and often it's in a much more diluted version. I often use the example of a fairground with all the fair rides. And if you've been at the fair since, 5 o'clock in the evening and there were hardly any people there and the ride lasted 10 minutes and it wasn't too noisy, you've had a lovely experience. But then by the time you get to 10 o'clock in the evening, 11 o'clock in the evening, the place is heaving. The
Got the
rides are
money.
the rides are 4 minutes long, they're ripping you off. And if you've been there since five, you're going to say, do you know what? I've kind of been on every ride. I don't need to keep doing this. Whereas if you've only just joined the fair, you're going to want to experience, even though it is much worse um, entertainment than it was originally. And that helps me understand why it is that people still have so much interest in this old world, even though for us who have been around for longer, there's very little attraction left in this old world. So would you say, Jim, therefore, that anyone who's on this call or is finding their spiritual path through this meditation, by definition, has been around for a longer time, is an old soul?
Yeah, I would say yes to that. Um, it's a good question because this is a question that most people involved in spirituality will ask. When did I come? How long have I been here? And stuff like this. But I think, in a way, how you approach spirituality is an indication of where you were, where you came in the drama, and your desires. I mean, at the end, souls that come at the end, all they desire are the things of the end period, and this is the summation of their desires and experiences, and they go through all the different stages of enjoy heaven. Look, it's like heaven on earth for them is that, and they will go through these stages within their very short period of time, experiencing it. That's all they desire. But I would say, yeah, your question about when you came it's about how you take spirituality and how you use it will give you an indication of when you came within the drama. Because I think if the desire is to experience that initial stage of fullness, that initial stage of of perfection, because initially in the drama it was a drama of unity, of of full energy, of harmonic oneness. And so that blueprint is so deeply etched, I think, in consciousness. It will never leave you, even though the memory is diluted by time and wrong philosophies and wrong actions. But that blueprint is there. And so there's this great striving. The whole of the cycle is striving to return to that. This is the formulation of the drama is about trying to return to that. The whole of the cycle is about this desire to return to unity. And this drives the drama, this formulates the drama. And how we act on it creates the karma, that how we deliver it creates the reaction within people's lives. The drama will always stay as it is. The drama will always be as it is, but how people experience it is according to their karma. And their karma creates their experiences. And karma creates the part. This is the paradox. The part will be the same, but it's the karma that creates the part and will determine where they play their part.
Which was your answer to the first question of how you stayed on the path so long, and you said it's just my karma to have
Yeah.
stayed on the path. And in a way,
Very good.
what we're saying here is, if you haven't experienced that state of knowing the divine, you're not going to be looking for it.
Yeah, you're
You're
right.
only looking for it because somewhere within the recesses of your mind, you know that you have experienced that. And the soul wants that experience again. And that, as you say, is what drives the whole drama, is to return to that experience of divine love.
Yeah, like that's a point you've just triggered there. I remember that a huge belief system, of course, is omnipresence.
Hmm.
Possibly this acceptance of this philosophy of omnipresence is really a member of the soul world, is a memory of the soul world, because it seems like it's a pervasive consciousness. When you're in the soul world, everything is like God. You're in that unity of being, and your oneness, you're in a oneness. And so you want to go back to there's a belief. And so you can easily understand that omnipresence comes from the memory of being in the soul world. And so they want to return to that. So, but because of interpretations and different ideologies, they've associated it with this concept of God being part of you and part of us. And of course, we can dispel that quite easily. It just doesn't make sense. God is can't be. It's not immanent in all of us. But this idea of the soul world, where everyone's come from, made such an impact, and so these other souls have desired to return. Always this desire, especially as peacelessness increases, as the drama moves into chaos, more and more is the pull of the soul world, the memory of it. So they desire it, and so they embrace omnipresence because you feel God's with me. Because in the soul world, God was with you.
Yeah.
You weren't God, and so there isn't this clarity to see the difference between you and God, but it's
Mhm.
just the experience of peace, and that's all they want really in that way.
Mm.
It's very, I think, very subtle.
Very subtle. Do you imagine that as time goes on, there's going to be a more marked parting of the ways between those who are drawn to that spiritual pure consciousness and those who are drawn towards more materialism, and that divide will get more obvious?
Yeah, I think so. Um, I think yes and no. Um, I think as things become more chaotic, people then strive to return. There is that pull within every soul of their original nature. Within every soul, there's the experience, of course, of their own self. That will be there, and it's that will create the discord. I think this is creating the hell. As they go into hell, as they participate in hell, as they give themselves to illusion, more and more the memory it kind of counterbalances by the emergence, the memory of who they really are, which is pulling itself to them, as well as the vibrational energy that souls are also emitting from all the yogis and all the spirituality, is creating also a counterbalance against this. And so it increases the pain that souls are experiencing at the end. Part of the karma they go through is this kind of realization, this that they've been deluded. They, they've they've been they've been pulled into this kind of uh, illusory world of materialistic kind of non-existence and so on, and nothing is giving them experience. But at the same time, their heaven is being lost, and this is part of the pain as well. It's slipping away. They've invested everything in this world, and it's been destroyed, and it just seems so senseless. And so again, we go back to they blame God, they blame society, they blame Trump, they blame everybody, don't they?
Absolutely.
It
And
becomes very, I think it's very complicated, very confusing at the end.
it is. And of course, the current big attraction is to AI. And people are thinking that that is going to solve the problems and
Yeah.
bring about heaven on earth. But also, AI is responsible for a lot of things that aren't good. And people are now blaming AI for loss of jobs and all of that. So in a way, AI is the absolute descent into matter and the material realm because
Mm.
it's artificial materialistic technology, which is as far away from spirit as you can get.
Mm. I think it's the whole, yeah, the whole cycle has been the creating of these artificial devices.
Mm.
Like bhakti, it's all bhakti actually.
Bhakti, devotion, the
It's all
path of
devotion,
worship.
sorry. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
devotion.
yeah,
Devotion starts when we move away from purity. And what happens is we create all these kind of devices as substitutes or or artifices to try and retrieve. And so if we go through all the different religions and belief systems, we're creating this. And as things become more as deteriorate more, we create more and more. And as souls also enter the drama, they come with abilities to create more artificial aids and props to somehow bolster that lack that souls are feeling, to create these artificial heavens, create these artificial gods, and so on. And it's more and more. After AI, there's probably more things will come if there's
yeah.
time.
If there's time. We've got a few questions coming in, and if you'd like to just put your questions in the chat, or if you have microphones with you in Dallas, you can ask your question in person. I'll kick us off with one question, which is about this kind of this dual aspect of having the freedom to write our own script and create our part within this play that is the drama. But at the same time, we are spinners of the cycle of time and understand that we're being, in a way, we can't escape what is our part, even though we feel that we're in the now and we can create it.
Mm.
How do you live with that tension between these two realities that your destiny is predestined, but at the same time you're free to create your part within that?
Yeah, I think that your part is recorded within you. You come with it, your part recorded in you. And that's according to your capacity, the capacity of yourself. So you initially come and your part is there and you play your part according to your ability. And so how you play your part is will determine your next part in the drama. This you could say like a play is set, a physical play. The actor just is given the words, is given the lines, he's directed to play it in a certain way. And so we have the rules are the rules of spirituality, which is about, in essence, like don't give sorrow, don't take sorrow, play according to the game, respect other actors, and so on and so on. And so, but if we go against what we feel we know how to do, we create the karma. And karma is this is where karma comes in. Karma will determine where your next part will come. So you will then incarnate in another positions. So you're constantly creating the drama, and it becomes real. So your karma creates your part. It creates the drama. The drama is created by karma, and so therefore you're playing your part with those sanskars, and those sanskars then will carry on in your next birth. You'll play your part, and according to the influences, according to how you perceive and how you have the ability to deal with your part, this then will also carry on and determine your part is to come. So the past creates the present, and the present creates the future. So this continuum is going through the drama. And so, in fact, it's your karma that's determining your drama.
That's quite deep, isn't it? Your karma is determining your drama. Yeah. And we had a point in our morning class last week, I think it was, that the birth you come into normally is determined by your karma. But in the world that is coming, the birth that you come into, the family you come into, will be determined by your stage of consciousness and what resonates at that same frequency, that same level of consciousness, because everything has to be aligned in at the beginning of the story of time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So that's something to ponder, that the consciousness that we're creating through our practice of meditation is what will carry us forwards into our future. Quite a profound thought. Um, wow. Well, we've been around the cycle of time. A whirlwind
I hope we're
tour.
not too dizzy.
A whirlwind tour. Um, and a lot to go away and ponder how we need to take responsibility, or you're encouraging us to take responsibility and not look to blame others and not put others on a pedestal, because in today's world we very often put people up on a pedestal, but then we enjoy destroying the pedestal and knocking them back down again, so people are only up there for a short amount of time, and then we're finding fault and criticizing them, and then back down they come. It's a very short amount of time that they're up there. So don't look to others, look to your own self and
Yeah, I think the
to
key is, I think that's the key thing, Philippa, isn't it?
yeah,
To be yourself. I mean, I know it's been the classical position in all spirituality, in
yeah,
recent times, is be yourself, is
yeah,
self-realization. But
yeah.
once we understand, once we accept, experience, and become who we are, then our whole drama will then start to become ordered. We start to then realign ourselves with everybody else. Harmony will start to then become part of our lives and part of our drama. That's all we have to do, is not worry. We can't change anybody. We can't interfere with anybody's part. I have no idea what other people need or want. But because of wrong consciousness, we've externalized ourselves, and we want to change others. You can't change, like in a normal play, you can't change another person's part. You can only play your own part. We can understand that. And the same law applies to the spiritual drama, that we can only play our own part, and I can only influence myself, and I only can do what I can do. But by being who I am and playing my own role, I automatically will begin to influence others. By others seeing my harmony, will then maybe hopefully trigger or become a mirror or become an example. And that will then have resonance for others who's seeing that I'm being myself. You're asking me earlier on how I managed to stay. I think it really is. I'm kind of clarifying it for myself. Really, it's just be yourself, but being yourself in a real way, and not for any purpose. Because in a way, it's delusional that that you can't influence anybody. No one is impressed. You can't change anything. So in a way, just have that realization and just focus on yourself, and just take that power, that support from God, and just do the things you know yourself you have to do, but do it in a way that is happy and joyful, it's meaningful, and um it's effective.
Mm. Just one last question before we go to our meditation. We're talking here about wanting to go back to the fullest version of ourselves and the highest version of ourselves, and we're putting full effort into that. How do we square that focus on the self with thinking about others and others' needs and helping them on their journey to become their fullest self?
Yeah.
How do we focus on ourselves and yet not ignore others?
Well, I think it's about, again, going back to what I was just saying now, isn't it, that in fact we understand, like a physical play, that the actors, you can't influence the things that have gone past. It's past, and you can't influence how people deliver their own lines, because that's not in my remit. I can't change what other people are doing because it's not in my part. My part is only connected with myself, and others are only connected with how they play their part. There's been materialism has said that we can, or you could say wrong consciousness has told us that we can change others by giving, by accumulation, by externalizing ourselves, and how we can bring change by doing various external physical things. But spirituality says that each one is responsible only for themselves, and we can help others by our thoughts, our good wishes, by our example, um, by our company, all those things that we know that we can do. But we can't, I feel we can't directly change another person's role. It's up to them then to take that responsibility for themselves and not to worry about it. It's only a game. That we often feel sorrow. We feel that I need to help. I feel all these poor. It's a game. It's only a drama. All the scenes that are happening is like clouds that are passing. They just go. It's and souls when they leave one body go to another. It's not there's no suffering. It's just a change in the play. Suffering is really to do with consciousness. You believe you're suffering, you're not really suffering. You're because of how we've been programmed to believe that this will cause this. But it's just letting the play go. Just stand back. Like God says, stand back, watch, have good wishes, let things go. Just be the observer. Like God is the observer of the play. He tells us this is what's the things, this is how it's happening, but he steps back. He doesn't interfere because he knows, he can see, he has the whole script. Now we're getting the script, but God gives us the script to understand. And so therefore we can deal with it. I can understand, and I understand that maybe my next door neighbor, my family, my friends are going through that, but it's only the part they're playing. It's not them. It's just the part. And they've confused themselves with their part. And it's for them to disentangle themselves. And to do that, it's not easy, we know, because they've been so influenced by the philosophies of our confused world. But we can help them, I think, through good wishes, by vibrations, and by our desire for the betterment of our planet. And I think then just to leave it and don't worry about it. Let God worry about it. He's big enough.
Yeah. And by you doing your part, the whole will be affected.
Yeah.
If you change and uplift yourself, then you are doing your part in uplifting the whole of humanity. So
Yeah.
ultimately, it's not selfish, and you're not just turning a blind eye to the suffering that is going on around you, but you're understanding that your way of helping that is actually to uplift yourself and thereby uplift others as well. It's quite a subtle one, and it's quite hard when you're seeing so much suffering to feel not detached, but to feel that you just send good wishes rather than do
Because I
anything
think it's like
practically.
I think you're totally right because the big push on people at the moment, especially the
Mm,
sensitive or spiritual people, is that you
mm,
should do something.
yeah,
You should send some money,
mm,
be active, go there, change this, demonstrate. But
yeah,
do to be something. And this is part of the illusory world's attempt to further entangle us in the confusions of wrong action, of wrong consciousness. Spirituality says, no, in fact, the opposite, step away, let go of it. And it's like you step away from it and then you see it for what it is. The situation diminishes, it becomes small. It's not a big thing. But because we're entangled with it, it seems huge. It's a mountain. It becomes something overwhelming. But the more we step back, we go into silence. We go into that stillness. And we begin to see, like God, we see it for what it is. It's just a play, passing scenes. And we know the resolution is happening. God is the resolver of complication and confusion. And his role is to bring clarity, to bring order to disorder. And so he brings knowledge, brings wisdom, brings power, so we can regenerate, and then restores order. The praise in all the belief systems. That you were talking about God, blame, but they do praise God as well as
Yeah.
blaming God, and because he brings order, he changes, or he brings something of benefit to the planet. And so we have different people have different takes on it, and all the great religious teachers and all the great prophets always defer to God in different ways. But
Mm.
we understand that God will bring about resolution, change, betterment, harmony to our world.
Well, I think that's a beautiful point on which to bring this conversation to a close. You've been so generous with your time, Jim, and I know you've recently moved to the southwest of England to begin service in a part of the UK that hasn't really had much input from the BKs. So I wish you all the best, you and your brother Paul. Good wishes to Paul as well for the work that you're doing, the service that you're doing, and keep shining that light. And thank you for sharing such lovely inspirations with us today. Really, really great. And if I could ask you just to close us out with a few thoughts to lead us into meditation, that would be beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, for a few, how long should I, 3 or 4
Shed.
minutes?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. I now let go of the old images, the tired and useless words of weakness that I've been familiar with. I let go of my pretensions, my fears, and my desires. And now I become free of all artificiality. And I take in and understand the knowledge, the reality, and the experience of my own true spiritual form. I take in and understand the knowledge and the reality and the experience of the form and nature of the Supreme Being. And now I slip away from all the shackles and chains. I let go. And now I'm free to change, to move, to become true. For now, knowledge, that magic talisman, those golden apples of myths, legends, immortality, and they begin to fill my mind, emerging old memory. And I'm filled with this sacred wisdom, filling me with light and light and more light. And I hold that light and I experience that light. And I now know in all things there's the good. And the jewel of the good, awaits to emerge. In every action, in every situation, in every circumstance, I see it and I understand. I understand with the eye of peace and patience. For in all things there is the good. So now let me just stand back, think less, and be still. And so now my vision fills with understanding, and my heart fills with mercy. For in all things there is the good. Now I see the beauty and the benefit, the way for me ahead. For in all things there is the good. And now my heart, from my heart, there streams waves of purest feeling, reaching the world, full of compassion and love and light. Shanti.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Philippa, for putting such a beautiful questions. And Brother Jim, you brought so much in front of us, all the secrets and all the games that are happening and confusion. And because of that, there is so much defaming and praising and all that's happening. But yes, there is so much that we learned today and inspired to understand the drama and karma and how to be detached and withdraw, let go, and how to engage ourselves in playing our role the best way. So thank you very much. Thank you so much. And I know you're a very good yogi. I know that you used to go to Baba Bhavan where Dadi Janki used to stay in at Amritwala.
Yeah.
Every day at Amritwala, 4 o'clock, he would be at Baba Bhavan for meditation. So you can understand how much you have love for yoga. And so you have beautiful experiences also you have been sharing with. And so thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Philippa.
Thank you.
Of you. It
Thank
was
you.
so
Thank you,
wonderful.
Philippa.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much, Ranjan.
Thank you so much, Sister Ranjan. Thank you,
Wonderful.
everybody in Dallas.
Yes. And
Have a beautiful day.
this will be on YouTube, Dallas YouTube. So people enjoy that.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.